this, but like I said, she's a minority woman. They got to stay away from her like you got a plague. And me, you know, I'm on everybody's guest list. I'm on both sides of the guest list. They all want me to come to their parties. Why? Because I'm not like them, and I have a realistic point of view which they want to hear. I had an invitation to go to the stupid, to go to the inaugural ball,
That would have been fun.
It's going to cost me $25,000 to go to it though. So that was I had a free ticket, but you got to understand what it costs for rooms and clothes and stuff.
Yeah.
Couldn't afford that. Would have went, and then I'd been out of place because I went there simply because they wanted somebody else that basically was like the president. And that's the whole, you're like the president. Well, you know what they say, when they mean you're like the president. They'll talk about it under things. In polite societies, you don't say they're zebras or there are other things. You say that they're...
I called you a candy cane.
Candy cane, yeah.
Okay.
Red and white. So...
what? I've been called a banana.
Yeah, I never heard candy cane before. No, he's got an ungodly chip. He hates white people. I mean, it's obvious he hates white people because he's got a white mother. I tell you, I was not the world's fondest of my mother for marrying my father until I found, after a while I found out that my grandparents on one side, on my father's side of the family were also Indian. I found out that, like I said, my father's family had this thing about Indians. They came from Germany, and they'd see these exotic, hot-looking Indian babes, and they'd marry them. Some would stay here, some would go back to Germany. And that's, they didn't have Asian girls, so they liked these.
Well, they were exotic.
Yeah, so they take them back, and then the children were also screwed up. All of my relatives are really screwed up in Europe. So, because they basically, what happened was, you didn't do that in polite society. You did not.
I love how you call it polite society.
You can have a good time with someone like that.
Oh yeah, but you don't marry people like
and then you don't bring them back unless they're yours. You can have them. You can keep them, but you're taking her to the social. No. So that's the way it works. So I do know all about that. I went through it for, God, like 8 decades ago.
And that has affected your entire life.
Yep.
Right? And the decisions that you make, the reactions you do, and it's just like everybody's history.
I'm morally bankrupt. I have the as I said, I have the morals of a rattlesnake, so.
Oh.
Which, yeah. I know people that do bad things in low places. I grew up with them. You associate with bad people that basically, you put it this way. Bad people do good things, good people do bad things. And just because a person's father and mother may not be the nicest people on earth doesn't mean that the children don't turn out good. I know a lot of people that their fathers were thugs, their mothers were hookers, and the children ended up pillars of society. Because they worked harder than anybody else. They wanted to be accepted. And if you're mixed heritage, you want to be accepted more than anything else in the world. Don't care if your parents accept you. Hate them. Most people like me hate their parents because of what they did to them. They figured, well, it doesn't matter.
Like they never would have been there except for them.
You're responsible for what we went through. And you'll notice carefully, most children of mixed parentage will go out of their way to make certain that they don't marry somebody that's of mixed heritage.
Oh, really?
I mean, if you're white, you marry. If you're an Indian, you try to find an Indian. If you're Latin, you try to find a Latin. If you're black, you try to find a black.
Really?
You try to.
Is that because do you associate more with one part of you than
because
another?
you want to belong. Okay, if you're dark skinned, I'm the oddball. I mean, I have my mother's attributes and my father's attributes. I have my father's German and Irish frame, but I have the all of this good about being an Indian. I can walk for all day long without worrying about it. I got a broken body. But you tend to marry somebody. I married Angelique, who was basically like me. As close as I could get to me, because not like you had to go out and find an American Indian to marry in this world. That doesn't happen anymore. There's very few of us. But back when my father was younger, and my mother was younger. There was Indians. They weren't, you know, they were
Well,
prevalent.
her dad was German, huh?
Yeah, my father was German. My father was born in Germany. My father became an American citizen the honest way because he was in this country at the time that before they made, it's like Bob Hope and Bing Crosby are very proud of the fact that they became citizens by act of Congress when everybody who was in this nation at a certain date were made automatic citizens. So my father was an American citizen. He may not have been born here, but his grandfather was born here and his great-grandfather. But still, you know, he became a citizen by act of Congress, the same as he became an officer in general by act of Congress. He thought that those were two big things for him in his life, that he got to be, you know, other people can be born here. But I was made a citizen by act of Congress, which was a big deal to him. So, but most people, like I said, everybody, no matter, well, I didn't have any of the problems you had when you were growing up because everything was so bright and rosy in my family. Like I said, I've been around here 80 years. I've been so many generations of people I've seen. They all have problems in the family because if you got brothers and sisters, one or the other is always going to resent what has been done to them by their parents. It's where you get the rebellious generation. Like, why do you think James Dean, who was in his 30s, was so hot as a rebel? You know, because we were rebelling against our parents who didn't understand. Well, like my father, he married, and my life has been miserable.
Ooh.
Yeah, my father doesn't understand women. Well, yeah, because you were here a year before you got married, so you definitely understood women. So, you know, but I think it's all got to do, like I said, because he's trying massively hard to win approval from the people that he most associates with, which is the Muslims. He doesn't associate with other people.
Well, he did change his name.
Yeah, because
right, his name was Barry.
He was Barry Obama until I think his second year of college, and then he took his father's name of Barack because he didn't want to be. He wanted to be. I can't be like them, so I'm going to become like my father, who was a forceful person that fought against white imperialism. His father was a socialist. His father was a...
That does shed some light.
Yeah.
Was his father's name Barack Hussein Obama? Okay.
Barack Hussein. He wanted, Barry Obama wanted to be just like everybody else. But he couldn't be because his mother was white and atheist. His father was black and a socialist. So, a black socialist Muslim. That's about as bad as they come. It'd be like an Israeli, you know, a black Jewish socialist. A mean combination. Because they got a ship on. It's just a. No, I mean, I actually knew Sammy Davis Jr. I remember Sammy Davis Jr. once made a joke. He said, "I'm black. I'm black. I married a Jew. I'm black. I'm Jewish, and I married a Catholic. So when they come after me, they said we can get everybody with him." So that's how that works. He was a nice guy, Mr. Davis. So, I mean, I met Sammy Davis Jr. 64 years ago.
Yeah?
Yep. But he was a young person, folks. He was young.
Well, when you met him, he was young.
Yeah. Basically, he was dancing at times like this. I mean, in late 1930s, he played President of the United States. Tap dancing with his...
Wait. He played President of the United States?
He played the President of the United States.
In a show?
In a motion picture film short. He was the president, him and Will Maston Trio, they were dancing up a storm. He was the president of the United States.
Oh, really?
So people don't realize Sammy Davis Jr. goes back to the 30s in movies, but
wow.
But you know, people. Okay, his children, because he had children with a white woman, basically. You never hear anything about his children. You don't. And
well, you know, and don't you think some of those have changed those times? Because now it's 2010. I don't think so.
What do you think then went after O.J. Simpson? He had
What?
a white wife.
Right.
A blonde white
but
wife.
But a lot of athletes do that.
That they always pick out, they'll also pick out, for some reason, they'll pick out the bleached blonde, big-chested, tall wives.
They always like that.
And basically, they're always going after where you understand why he did what it was. You know, because they tend to be more abusive because they get picked on by, you know, you could have married a nice white girl, or, you know,
A nice white girl?
A nice black girl, I mean.
Oh.
I know, or you could have married a nice Latino, you could have married a nice Jewish boy. You know, these are the things are, I mean, so, I mean, you gotta imagine, like, my father adored my wife. My father hated her mother. So there's a difference, you know, the same, but, you know, well, but she is worse than her mother. Well, but she's different. She's got a German father.